Okay, so can you state your name and where you live?
Robert Lennel. I live at 189 Freeman's Way, Brewster, Mass.
Okay.
Okay. What was your childhood like?
What was my life?
Your childhood like?
My childhood?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like how you grew up, you know.
Pretty normal. You know, I brought up here in Brewster, and things were a lot different back then because it was pretty rural. And we just, kids just hung around. We were roamed all over town and played ball and different things.
So, did you choose to be in the military, or were you like drafted?
No, I chose.
You chose to be in the
Yeah.
military.
Right out of high school.
So, like, why did you choose to be in the military?
No, I didn't, my grades weren't all that great, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, so I enlisted in the Navy.
What was your job in the Navy?
My job in the Navy, I started out in the deck force, which is just ordinary seaman, and then I was a quartermaster, which quartermaster does the navigation of the ship and sometimes steers the ship and such. So, but we were in charge of all the navigation.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, how did you like stay in touch with your family?
Pardon?
Did you so you know when you did you stay in touch with your family? So like how did you do that? Did you like write letters?
Well,
Like
I joined the Navy to see the world, and in 4 years, I was only away from home 7 weeks. That was the longest stretch I was away from home. So I was in touch with my family quite
okay.
a bit.
Yeah, you can keep going.
And actually, I got married while I was in the service. So
Oh really?
yeah,
What was that like? Like how did that work out?
it worked out pretty good. We kind of lived with my wife's family for about a year and a half, and we had our first child in that period too. So
What did your first day feel like? What were you thinking? Like,
well, a little nervous. I mean, I was a kid out of high school, and I went to basic training out in Chicago, Illinois, the Great Lakes, and middle of winter, so it was cold and such. And, but there was two buddies of mine from high school that went in the same time I did, so I have friends there, so
that's nice.
it wasn't like I was
Yeah.
all alone out there.
At least you had like a couple friends, you
Right.
know? Yeah, so what was like the food like? Was it like good or was it like pretty
Yeah,
bad?
it was okay, you know.
Okay.
It was institutional food and
Yeah.
such, you know. And but as far as I can remember, it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do anything like, do you have any traditions like that you did for like good luck?
Like did you have like do you have like maybe like a Bible or something like maybe you'd use to like symbolize like good luck, like you'd like pray to God or like something like that?
Yeah, I did have a Bible, and you know, I was praying, but you know, I was still a kid out
Yeah.
of high school, so you know,
Yeah.
you kind of wonderless at that time period.
Did you keep a diary at all or like a journal?
No,
No, you didn't.
no.
How did you entertain yourself while you were on duty?
What I do with myself?
Like
How
how
do
did
you
you
entertain?
entertain yourself? Like maybe when you were off duty, like when you were still like on the ship or whatever.
Yeah, we just kind of roamed around the areas I was in, so because they were all new to me
Yeah.
and such, and kind of explored. And usually there was 3 or 4 of us that went out together, you know. So yeah, it was.
What were some of the places that you went to?
Fun.
What were some of the places that you went to?
Well, like I said, I joined the Navy to see the world.
Yeah.
And I had a year's shore duty in New London, Connecticut. And from there, I was transferred to Providence, Rhode Island on an aircraft carrier. And all we did was patrol up and down the East Coast.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too exciting at that point. And I spent my whole 4 years that way, so I didn't get out of the East Coast. That was one of the reasons I decided to get out, because I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
other than I was married and had a child, so my rating meant that I would be at sea probably up to 9 months at a time.
Right.
And I didn't like that idea too well, so.
So you said you had friends, right? Are you
Yeah.
still close to those friends, or do you talk to them?
One of them has passed away, and the other one lives locally here, but we don't associate too much,
Yeah.
you know. During reunions or something, that's all.
Let me see.
What was your ranking like, or was?
When I got out, I was a quartermaster, third
So,
grade.
what does that mean? Like,
Well, it means that it's like probably a sergeant in the army, you know, quartermaster, third grade when I get out, so.
so, did your military experiences and stuff affect your life in work and thinking nowadays?
Definitely, it has affected my life because being in the military gives you a sense of discipline. I mean, you kind of have to do what you're told to do, you know, and a lot of people who don't go in the service don't get that experience, you know. So I'm a firm believer that everybody ought to spend at least 2 years in the military, because it's a whole different life, you know. You have to do what you're told to do, and there's no exceptions, you know. So it kind of instills a certain discipline in your life, you know, which some people don't experience.
Yeah.
So.
Just speaking of that, like, how was the training? Like, was it like really hard, or did you enjoy it?
Basic training is pretty hard. You do a lot of drilling and a lot of marching, and you have to have inspections, you know, where you have to have your gear all in shape, and your appearance has to be good, you know, and your beds had to be made a certain way and all that kind of stuff, you know. So basic training was kind of tough, but after that it was not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite memory from the 4 years that you served in the military?
Well, one of my favorite was I was on board the Lake Champlain, which is an aircraft carrier, and we was on the recovery ship for the very first astronaut that went up into space.
Oh, really?
And he's Shepard, I think it was, that went up
Yeah.
and came back down again. Yeah, we were the recovery ship
Oh, really?
for that. Yeah.
Did you get to meet him?
No, nobody got to meet him, you know. It was pretty interesting. Everybody was getting ready to take pictures
Yeah.
of bringing the capsule. They were in capsules then, you know, bringing the capsule on deck and such, and everybody was watching, and they watched the thing. Everybody forgot to take pictures because, you know, it was so amazing to see that, you know. So, and I was also in the Cuban crisis, in the Cuban blockade.
So what was,
Just before I got out of the service, we were part of the Cuban blockade.
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what was
Cuban
that like?
crisis, yeah.
So what was like the Cuban crisis like?
Yeah, it was kind of nervous there, you know, because you never knew what was going to happen and such, and all we did was kind of sail around circles, you know. There was another ship just out of sight, you know, so that nobody could go between us without
Yeah.
being seen, you know. So
Did your ship encounter any other ships, or was it pretty peaceful?
no, not really, you know. No. One of our basic duties was we had escort destroyers that escorted us wherever we went, and we used to have to fuel them
No?
and such. So that was pretty interesting. It came alongside, and such, and we had to refuel them all the time. So,
So after you served, did you go on to college or did you go straight into the workforce?
no, I just went right into the workforce, yeah, and I was, basically I was in the building business most of my life and such. I went to work for a builder right out of the service and such.
You said that you were gone for 7 weeks. Well, where did you go? Was that when during the Cuban crisis? Or?
No, we patrolled down the East Coast, and our area was from St. Thomas
Mm-hmm.
and the Virgin Islands to Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
So we went back and forth, and probably the time I was away for 7 weeks was down in the Caribbean.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. So, trying to think. Did you besides navigation, was that pretty much your only job, or how many people did the navigation? Did you guys have from 7 to
There was
10?
probably 15 or 20 people in the navigation. Because some people corrected charts and some people plotted our direction where we were going, and obviously you had to have different shifts. So there's probably about 20 people.
About 20 people.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you navigate the ship? Like you said that some people did charts. And other stuff.
I corrected charts some, and I did some plotting courses and where we're going and such, and my battle station was steering the ship. I was a helmsman.
A helmsman.
Yep.
So is that so you steer?
Yep, actually steering
So
the ship.
Is it one wheel or is there a bunch
Yeah,
of
one
stuff?
big wheel.
One big wheel and you
Yep.
have to steer the ship?
Yep.
That actually sounds really cool.
Yep.
So were any of your did you know anybody that did that was in any sort of combat while you were on your ship? Did any of your
Yeah, there's a couple of people that have been in the Navy for, a number of years. Some of them been 20 years or more, and they've been in conflicts, But I just happened to be in a period where there wasn't any conflict other than the Cuban crisis, so, that didn't affect me very much at the time, so.
So when you woke up, I see a lot of veterans, they have full on suits and stuff. Do you did you have multiple of those or
Yeah, you had dress blues and such. So when you were in parade or something like that, and then you had dungaree type stuff that you wore every day, working on the ship and such. So we had different uniforms for different occasions.
So sleeping arrangements, did you share bunk beds with a bunch of people?
Yeah, they were kind of like dormitories. They were when I was in, they were almost like hammocks, but they weren't hammocks. They were rigid, but there might be two. It was like bunk beds. There was two, somebody on the bottom, somebody on the top. And usually it was on both sides.
So you had,
Honestly, the
4
ship's only so big, so you
Yeah.
gotta get, I think we had about 1,000 people on our ship
Oh wow.
at the time, because you had all the air people, the pilots and such, and we had a contingent of Marines aboard because we had an admiral on our ship, and he had a contingent of Marines that serviced him however he needed,
So do you recall the day when your service ended? Were you happy or were you kind of miss?
Yeah, I was happy most of the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a new experience and such, and yeah, I had a good time when I was in.
Did you ever miss sometimes the military or like wish you would have stayed longer?
Well, yes. Sometimes, I kind of regret it. I was planning on making it a career at one point,
Oh really?
and but then when I got married and had a kid, I didn't really want to be away from him that much, so that was the primary reason I got out. But yeah, I've had regrets at times, because I could have been retired at 40 something, from the
Yeah.
service. So, that would have been a nice backup to my life,
Yeah.
and such. But you can't look back.
Yeah.
You have to look forward all the time.
So was your wife in the military too?
No,
No.
no.
So how did you meet her?
Yeah, through a friend of mine was on ship, was going with a girl, and that was in Providence, Rhode Island, and or in Rhode Island, and we were out one night, and they kind of introduced us, So we went out to a movie and such, and after the movie, I came home, and then when I went back, I went and met up with her again, and then we started going out. So.
Did the Navy feel like a kind of like a family, or was it kind of like individualistic?
Well, a little bit, but you're living with a bunch of guys all the time, and it's a different life, different life, and it's regimented. You can only do so much, Play a lot of cards and have free time on the ship and stuff like that, because really movies, they have movies and such, but really not a whole lot to do when you're at sea, Everybody was always looking for shore duty so they can go out and have a good time, go bowling or whatever, So.
So were there any like officers that you really liked, or any officers that you really didn't like?
Yeah, there was both.
Yeah.
Both, yeah. When I was first in on the ship, I had an officer that was in charge of our division, and he always told me that I could transfer because I wanted to get into something else.
Yeah.
We were in the deck force, and he said, well, if you do a good job and everything else, I'll approve you transfer. So I went forward and such, and got to be like a leading seaman of our division and everything else, and then I put in for a transfer. Then he turned around and said, you're too valuable, we can't let you go, So and that was the story I got.
Yeah.
But my duty time was on the wheel in the bridge where the navigation was, and I got friendly with the assistant navigator, and he said, you kind of like it up here. He says, would you like to come up and be a quartermaster? And I said, I'd love it, So he went over my officer's head and got me transferred and such. So that's how I get out of that, in navigation. But he wasn't very happy, but I was happy. So.
So you liked being on the bridge a lot more then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much nicer. Yeah, you know everything's going on when you're on the bridge. You can see all the flights coming and going, and all the commands to different places and such. So pretty interesting.
So did you have any like pressure or stress while you were in the military, like from anything, or?
I can't remember anything that I was really stressed about.
Yeah. Let me see.
Did you get seasick? Like, was it like when you were down in when you were navigating? Did you ever get like seasick from?
Never.
No, never.
I was brought up on Cape Cod.
Oh yeah.
I was always on a boat. We owned boats and such, so that never bothered me.
Yeah.
We were even caught in a hurricane one time, and we took some pretty good rolls for the aircraft carrier. That never bothered me.
So, did you join any like veterans organizations after your service? You,
I belong to the American Legion, but I'm not active with it.
Yeah.
I'm just a member at this point. So,
so do you attend any like reunions for anything?
no.
No, nothing like that.
No.
Mm. How I already asked that question. I'm trying to look because we still have about 10 minutes left here. Yeah. So where did you travel for like all your experiences? You said you were up and down from like Cape Cod down to Rhode Island. Did you when the Korean crisis was happening? Did you go down to like a Cuban crisis?
Yeah, we were right off of Cuba.
So you went right off of Cuba.
Yeah. Actually, we had been in the Caribbean, and at the time, and we were sailing back to our home base in Providence when the call came, and so we had to turn around, go back, take part in that Cuban blockade.
So how long did it take to get up from like Provincetown all the way back down? So like
probably a couple of days.
Couple days?
Yeah.
So you were in an aircraft carrier, right?
Yep.
So like, did you see all the planes going in? Was there like a schedule for that, or like?
No, not really.
Not really.
They did a lot of drilling, and such where the pilots took off and then touched down again, and then took off again and such. And we were an anti-submarine warfare, that's what we patrolled down, and the planes had sonar and such, so they could search for submarines and such, and that's what they were trying to go up and down the coast to make sure there's no submarines in that area and that kind of stuff. And way back then, the planes were single engine, twin engine planes, they weren't these jets and such that you have today, So we didn't have jets back then, I was in from 1958 to 1962.
Yeah.
So, so you have an idea.
Yeah.
I graduated in 58 and I went in the fall of 58. I went into the service. So.
Okay. So like the planes would just go around and like use their sonar to like try to see if there's any.
Well, the planes did that. We
Yeah,
didn't.
that's
The
what the
ship.
planes
So we just went back and forth, so they had a landing,
Yeah.
and
To
such.
refuel. So.
Yep.
So how big was this like aircraft carrier?
I think it was 950 feet long.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's a smaller
Yeah.
aircraft carrier compared to what they have today.
Mm.
So.
Was the Cuban crisis the scariest moment, or was there anything else that like really like puts you on the edge of your seat? Like
No, not really. Yeah, I was. Other than that, I was in the peaceful period.
Yeah.
In between conflicts and such. So although being in the Cuban crisis gave me the opportunity to claim veterans benefits, which I haven't done because I didn't have a big need for that, but that did give me that option. Actually, I was extended for a year because I was heading home to base and I was supposed to get discharged when we get back, and they extended everybody for a year. So, but I only served 19 days of that 1 year because the crisis was over then. When we get back, they discharged us.
Yeah.
So, and then when you get discharged after a 4-year period, you're actually in for 6 years, but you're put on an inactive reserve for 2 years. It didn't mean much, I guess. If there was a crisis or something, they could call you back, but
That didn't happen.
that never happened. So I didn't get my official discharge till after 6 years in 1964. So.
Yeah. So did like, you were saying like, you could have been brought back in. Did you ever want to go back in? or like were you kind of like really?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. By that time,
Yeah.
I got settled in civilian life,
Mhm.
you know, and we had a house. We built a house and such, and pretty settled in. So, you know, that would have been pretty disruptive if I had to go back in. But yeah.
If
And
you-
then I could have gone right back in if I had decided in that 2 years to go back in. I could have gone in without any training or anything.
Yeah.
You know, so.
If you like had to go back in, would you have like tried to do something different, or do you?
No,
No.
I like being
You
a
like being-
quartermaster. Yeah. Actually, when I get out, I could have. They offered me another ranking and such, but that wasn't enough to entice me
Yeah.
to take it. So.
He's on the fly.
I just had the question.
I know that's happened to me before. Do you have any photographs of like?
I don't have any
Yeah.
photographs. No.
Were there people that took photos like on the
I
ship?
got some of my cards, that, you know, that
Yeah.
said I
Cool.
was aboard ship and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. You know, take pictures of those and stuff.
Oh yeah, we can like after
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Sure.
But like, yeah, we can do that after. But did
Okay.
you? Were there a lot of people that had like? Were cameras new? I'm trying to think. 'Cause I don't know history.
It was like.
Were there
it was-
cameras back then?
Yeah, there were cameras back then. There was.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
motion film. And
Actually, I had the 8mm movie camera
Oh really?
on board. Yeah. And I had someplace, I don't
Yeah.
know where right now, but I have some 8mm film of taking the astronaut back on board ship
That's really cool.
and such. Yeah. One of these days I'm gonna take them out and have them put on CDs
Yeah.
so that you can see it. Yeah.
So was that like your favorite like moment? Was like
It's probably the most exciting moment at the time.
Yeah.
You know, we were in the Gulf of Mexico at one time for a demonstration. The USS Boston, I believe, was the first missile
yeah.
firing cruiser, and we took people, VIP people, on board our ship so that they could stand on the flight deck and watch demonstrations of the USS Boston. You know, and that was pretty exciting. That was the first time they launched missiles off of a ship.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that was another time where people were ready to take pictures, and the missile went off, and
Yeah.
everybody looked up and such, and they all forgot to snap a picture. So it was kind of funny, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So
did your friends or family, did they treat you differently, like when you got back from serving?
no, not really. Not really. No. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
were they like happy that you joined the service, or were they kind of like scared at all? Or?
Yeah, some of them were, you know.
Yeah.
and some just questioned why we did that. You know, but the two guys that went in with me were during high school and such were good friends. You know, we hung out a lot and such, and we kind of made a pact that we'd
Yeah.
go in together and such. We went through all boot camp and training together and such, but after that, they shipped us out in about 3 different places.
Yeah.
You know, so
So
we kind of lost contact with each other after that.
did they try doing the same thing that you were doing, or did they want to do different things?
They kind of did different things, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't recall exactly what they were doing. But one of them was at sea all the time, so,
Yeah.
you know, unlike me where I didn't go very far. So,
Yeah. So I think we can end it there. Just like to say thank you
Yeah.
Okay,
for
okay,
helping with
You're
our
welcome.
project. Thank you very much.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.